Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Pro Perks. I am joined by my pro today, Infekted, who is going to talk us through some of the perks on tanks. But before we get into that, I thought I'd just get your general overall view, since perks have been in the game for about just over a week now. How have you found the experience so far?
Personally, I love perks. I think they were like a great addition to the game. It feels everything fresh and new. And I feel like it was good for Blizzard to do that as well. I feel like they needed to take a risk. Just the game was kind of going downhill in my opinion, and like ranked wasn't fun, but like because of perks, everybody's back to playing and the game it just feels like a brand new game and it's really fun.
It feels like they've done a nice job of balancing it too much without making anything feel super broken or changing any characters too much. It just makes you slightly better at everything you wanted to do on that character already.
Yeah.
All right, should we jump in then? So we'll start with Ball, obviously probably the hero you've been playing the most recently in OWCS. What's your decision making then when we look at the minor perks for Ball?
Yeah, so looking at the minor perks, it's the Steamroller, which is the roll impact deals 100% more damage to tanks, and then the Pack Rat health packs deal an additional 100 health. This one, I like 90% of the time I always choose Steamroller, just because.
Oh really?
Yeah, I normally always choose Steamroller, just because against tanks, like the amount of damage that you can just do while just rolling through. Oh, it doesn't do that on the tank bot. I don't know if there's a good tank to show in the practice range, but it does a lot of damage to tanks. And I feel like the only time you want to choose the Pack Rat one is against like a ball mirror, just because you're not really playing to boot the ball a lot. But like in the tanks like Ram, even like Queen and like Zarya, like those type of tanks where it's like more ground brawly and you want to just be like rolling through and disrupting them on like rotates and stuff, the Steamroller one is a lot better. And also just finishing off tanks as well. It's really good like when tanks are low and like they're always game pocket and it's hard to kill them. Like just the amount of burst that that perk gives ball is it's crazy. It's a very underrated perk.
Yeah, I feel like we've seen most people actually lean the Rat Pack way in a lot of places. But I guess some of it is, you're right, it depends what you're playing into, and at least like right now in OWCS, a lot of teams trying to not take the ball mirror versus you guys.
Yeah, for sure. And, even I was watching like Junbin VODs too, and I think he picks the Steamroller one most of the time, except in like Ball Mirror and like into Diva, which makes sense because I feel like into dive tanks you don't really want to like play to like boop them a lot, I guess. Except for Winston, I think it's good in the Winston actually, because just like booping him out of bubble plus the damage, it's really good.
Well, you see it a lot of the time, like when people play these like non-ball comps into ball comps. Now, a lot of the time they're trying to take space, and then as your slam comes in, they try and disengage. But if you ever get that like boop on the tank as he's trying to walk backwards, it's probably even more fatal than it was before.
Yeah. And then also like even with the health pack one, most of the time when you're going to a health pack, you're like 300, 200 HP most of the time. And I think health pack is like 300. I'm honestly not sure, but I think it's like it gives you 300 health. So like that plus the self regen, and ball just has like natural shields. Like ball, I don't think ball needs the extra 100.
It's like enough
definitely
anyway.
Like yeah, like it's definitely nice in it. Like it's noticeable, but like most of the time you don't need it, in my opinion.
And then what about when we get to the major perks then? Because I feel like, again, when I've been watching OWCS, I've seen balls go both directions with these ones.
Yeah. So again, like normally, it kind of depends what you're playing into, but most of the time I always pick hang time. I think this perk in general is honestly just really broken because of the air control. Like that, you can really like mess up your opponents and like play the bait out CDs and like they'll mess it up and stuff like that. And also like the damage that it deals is super good. It really does help out with dives and stuff. Like I know some people think it's bad because of like the slow slow travel time like going back down, but I don't think it matters like most of the time. You still get the slam off normally. And also just like being able to control it mid-air definitely like screws people up.
We've seen a lot of like Anna's missing their cooldowns and stuff, people missing their Suzu timing and that just because they're like not quite used to the new or like the different timing.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it'll be like worse in like time when people realize like how to play against it. Honestly.
I guess a lot of the time in an ideal world as ball, by the time you want to go and slam, you want to have baited out like the scariest cooldowns like sleep or anything anyway.
Yeah. Because like slam is a very like committing CD. Like if you're going in with slam, like you need your team to be looking at you or else you're just gonna die most of the time. Like that, like the hang time one, like it just like makes the slam even more powerful. It's just really good. And then with the shields one, I haven't really picked this one a lot, but I always pick in the comps where it's really hard to slam into without dying. Like, let's say like on a Brig cast or like on a
Mm.
Zen cast, just like stuff like that where you don't really have a comp that can like full commit with you on slams, and if you slam, you'll just die. I normally choose the shield one, and I think the shields one is also like pretty good. Just giving it to your teammates. I think I gotta read it again. I honestly forgot.
It's like they get more shields and it reduces
Oh
your
yeah.
cooldown on your next one as well. So it's like kind of a twofer. So if you're able to do it, especially you think the type of heroes you'd normally be playing into stuff that's like hard to slam, you're probably playing like a Genji or a Tracer or something else with it as well. And that will actually maybe benefit from that perk a lot.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I like the way that I see it too is if they're on like a comp where it's hard to slam into, but you're on like Lucio, Kiri, Genji, Tracer, I normally still choose the slam one just because you should be able to slam into that and not die, because the whole point of your comp is to just like 5-man commit on one person. So even if like they all look at you and you die, like they should like die in the process. But yeah, like if it's a comp where like you're on like on a Brig ball or like Zen Brig ball and you don't have like Genji Tracer and it's like a comp where it's hard to slam into, I always choose the shield one, and I just try to give it like teammates as much as possible. Also like the cooldown reduced too. Like it just you have more uptime in general, because like I think like one of the big things about like good balls is like they have really good like uptime, like using shields. They use like their shield health like very effectively.
Well, yeah, especially if you're playing ball into some of these comps, you want to hit them like 1, 2, 3 times or something before they can really get to like point or where they want to be. So if you get like an extra shield cooldown in one of those, it's probably going to feel really nice.
Yeah.
All right, should we take a look at Winston then?
All right, let's go Winston.
I feel like maybe the minor perk is, I feel like I've only ever seen one choice from every Winston so far, so maybe it's an easy one. You've got the option of,
I mean,
yeah, more damage to turrets or the primal buff.
Yeah, I mean the primal buff is might just be like the best perk like by far out of the two. I will say, it is like really annoying when you accidentally pick the first one, but you know that doesn't happen anymore. But just like the primal, like the damage is so good. You really do just do like so much more damage with the jump in general.
Well, it feels like
and I'm off the map.
Can't save you from that. That's a heavy
God.
landing.
Yeah, I just have white disease, but
well, I think as well, we've seen it in OWCS. All of a sudden, it feels like primals are now X% more deadly than they were previously. And I think a lot of that is the perk. Because even the meta right now, if there was ever a time to pick the extra damage to turrets, it's right now when people are playing Torb and Sim. But even with all those characters in play, it still feels like the primal landing is just the go-to.
Yeah, exactly. Like even with those like in play, like Sim and Torb, like 30% is not enough. Even if it was like you can like deal 1 damage and like break them, like maybe that'd be good like specifically against Torb, but against Sim, like you break them pretty fast as Winston anyways. So
you also get in a situation where even if you did pick it, and then if they just swap Torb, then you've got nothing to shoot.
Exactly.
You just sort of stuck on that perk for the rest of the game. Yeah.
Like that primal one, like just the amount of burst that it gives, it's really good.
And then what about when we get to the major perks then? So we got the Chain Lightning, which is obviously you get to hit 2 targets with a fully charged right click, or the Revitalizing Barrier, which is you and everyone else get some healing in bubble when you drop it. Yeah,
so I'd say like, again, maybe like 85, 90% of the time, I'll choose a Revitalizing Barrier. I think this perk is just really good into like brawl comps and almost like anything except Winston Mirror. Or like Winston on a Brig Mirror. Just because like the bubble, you can really just like have your team play around it, because your team uses your bubble a lot. And anything that isn't like, you know, on a Brig Winston Mirror. And just like the healing factor is really, really good. And against like brawl comps too, where they're playing to like run you over, like run your backline over, and you just drop the bubble like mid-fight and your team can just use it. I think it really helps like mid-fight a lot. And then with the, I'll switch my character. For the fully charged ones.
Yeah, because I've seen a few people pick this. Like, it felt like everyone started with the healing barrier, but then a few more people started picking the Chain Lightning in some situations.
Yeah. I think this is really good in like on a Brig Winston Mirror, where you're not really using bubble to bubble your team, and you're more using it to just like zone their backline, right? And even like if you bubble their backline, you're mostly going to be playing like right outside of your bubble to like try to bait their CDs, or just like, you know, going in between. So the healing doesn't really affect that much. And I think this perk is just really good in like on a Brig Winston mirror just for farming primal. I think that's the. Can I get it? There we go. It's like it's just really good for farming the primal.
Well, especially into those sort of comps, right? Really, where like the Winston type comps really win is on their ult timing anyway. So anytime you can do something, you just get maybe like an extra primal a game or something, where you get it at 10-15% faster.
Yeah.
Sets you up really nicely.
Exactly. And also like against like on a Brig, like if they have like an Ashe, like their Brig and Ashe always play together. Like the going in with like the right click, like dealing damage to both of them and getting the landing damage, like that's also like really good as well. Yeah, like the bubble one I think is like definitely better in almost any situation other than like dive mirror. You're not really using bubble to peel.
Alright, should we take a look at Orisa then?
Yeah.
Like Orisa is slowly but surely creeping back into the meta on some maps as well, so what's your decision here?
So this is the perks I've thought about the most because I'm like even still I'm not like 100% sure, but I think between the two miners I think the heat dissipator is better, just because the amount of damage that you can like keep between fights is really good. It's like being able to hit those headshots. Did I select it? Oh yeah, I did. Just like even seeing like how much like the bar doesn't go up mid fight, and like plus you're gonna be using like spin and like spear as well. Like you basically won't ever have to reload if you're hitting your shots. And I think like at least for me, I always try to like I really focus on like my aim as Orisa. That's one of like my big things. So I'll always be in like Vaxa like 30 minutes, like a day like in queues and stuff, just like only working on aim.
It's the same as we talked about on the Winston, right? Is it just allows you to do more damage, so then you'll get your ult more often as well. So it all sort of just leans in together.
Exactly. And even like mid fight too, just like you're just doing more damage in general. And like in Orisa mirrors where like you're shooting their Orisa a lot and it's kind of hard not to headshot. Like your damage like just in general is always going to be really high. And then the other one, the fortify one, I actually thought was better at the start, but I think the damage is just more important in general. So it gives like 100 plus overhealth with it as well. And then it goes away. Like that went away really fast. Maybe it's good for burst, but I don't really see like a situation where I'd pick that over the primary fire one.
It feels a little bit like what you were talking about with Ball as well, or in general. Orisa's really hard to kill when she fortifies anyway. Does the extra one really... Are you really dying that often through your fortify, or is it more just the times you die when you're wasted your cooldowns or out of cooldowns more than anything else?
Yeah, it's more so like if you're gonna die, like when gold or like your gold is about to end, like the 100 overhealth for that, like it's not gonna really matter. Like you're still probably gonna die no matter what. So I don't really see it as like a important perk, I guess.
And then when we get to the major ones, this is maybe one of the most interesting perks they've added to the game, because obviously we've got the charged javelin, which obviously looks pretty cool. We saw that one in like the original trailer for it, but the alternative is the shield perk, which is a real throwback to Overwatch 1. Which one is your go-to at the moment?
Yeah, so I thought the shield one was really like good at the start, but then after playing a lot, I think the charged javelin is a bit better most of the time, just based on the fact that I think Orisa's like javelin spin is a very good cooldown. I think like getting rid of it kind of makes you more of like a target to get ran over, even with gold and like the shield and stuff like that, especially against playing against like Mauga and Ram, where I think the spin is like being able to just like run away or like boop them away and not allowing them to take space, I think is really broken. And just like with the spear in general, like it pierces, I think that's really good. Yeah. If you get it like landing it, if you hit it on a squishy against a wall, it's like normally a one-shot, like a one-shot kill a lot of the times.
It feels like with the shield, comparatively, you almost have to change the way you play Orisa. Like you can't do a lot of the normal things you would do where you like spin into javelin, into fortify to make these really aggressive plays for backliners. You almost just become more of a like, I guess almost like a Sig alternative in some ways.
Yeah. You're like a worse Sigma, in my opinion. And then I can pull up the shield. I do think the shield has like some merit. I don't really know when it's the best, but I think being able to like sky shield and like hold a choke and like have them like try to walk through like the shield and then like you're fighting, the shield breaks, you pop down another one. I think that's good, but I think like again like against most tanks like Ram, Mauga.
They don't care about the shield, really.
Yeah, they just kind of like run past you, and like since you don't have spin, most of the time you're just gonna end up dying. if you just don't use your CDs correctly. And
Yeah,
yeah, like you were saying earlier, like it's hard to kind of like chase advantages when you don't have the spin as well. You're just really slow in general. I think the mobility is really good with spin.
yeah, I feel like for most times when I've been thinking about a shield perk, it's almost always in like, you know, in like these overtime situations in Escort and Hybrid, where you just suddenly, you unlock all the perks, so all of a sudden you could just go to shield Orisa without having to play Orisa the entire map or something. And that's kind of like really niche situations.
Yeah, like I know we did that in a match
Is
where
it the
Krieg
Havana,
went
was it?
Bastion. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we did that. I should have honestly gone Sig. I think I went Sig on defense anyways, but I think like Sig and maybe even Ryan. I don't know. Ryan kind of sucks right now, but I think just like a Sig shield is just better than an Orisa shield.
Yeah, it feels like a fun one to put back in, but I don't know if it's just like a... what it actually... It's because you lose the spin as well. If it was just like you gain it or something, or... I feel like there'd be more value in it, but it feels like because you lose the spin, when they made that original change to Orisa, that was actually one of the best additions to Orisa, is now all of a sudden all this crazy stuff you could do with spin and pushing people away and catching tanks and all of this.
Yeah, exactly. Like it really makes it awkward for like other ground tanks to kind of push past Orisa, just because of the fact that it's like spin is a broken CD in my opinion. But like now, because yeah, it's not there, they just kind of run past you or run over you.
Well, comparatively, if I'm a Ramatra or if I'm a Malga, as soon as the Orisa drops their shield, that's a timing for me to go in and press my form or press my shift or something and just run past it all.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Infekted. I appreciate your insight on all of these. Obviously, best of luck in your matches this weekend as well in playoffs. And we'll catch you there. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you so much.